Welcome to Loleventvods. Watch the full game of today's LTA 2025 matchup.
I think people already obviously looked at C9 as a contender, but to be able to actually, knock down FlyQuest to finish the positioning phase in first place, that is a statement in and of itself. And I think Cloud9 are developing a lot faster kind of as a unit than I really had expected them to. And I've got to give a lot of credit to Sven, who honestly is doing much better than I expected him to. Not that I expected him to do poorly, but I feel like he is really playing just as well or better than like Masu and LYON this split. Like he is really up at the top once again after being a support for a while and coming back to AD, having that split on Dig. Then he's back on Cloud9. He's AD again. And he's just kind of like, right, like nothing ever happened.
You know how a lot of times if a guy goes to prison and he's there for a while, he has nothing to do but just get ripped, like pump iron every single day?
Did you just call Dignitas prison?
No, I called support prison.
Okay.
He was stuck in
whoa!
He was stuck in Yumi jail for a while there. His only job is to attach to people, throw out a couple prowling projectiles here and there. It just made him hungry. It made him motivated. It made him fierce.
Yeah.
See?
That's
where I'm at with it anyway. Plus, he's back together with Vulcan. This is a long-time favorite duo for a lot of people to have been Cloud9 fans. And hey, like you're saying, it's working out. Let's get into the draft, though. As Kalista, Ezreal, and Azir are banned out by LYON, Cloud9 responding by banning out the Varus, the Yone, and the Vi. Rumble, the first pick for LYON, alongside the Skarner and Kai'Sa follow-up. And then C9 picking up Corki, Sejuani, and Gwen.
Yep, Gwen going to get grabbed. Hasn't been played much over the last week or two. It's been getting mostly banned out, but definitely still very strong. And Thanatos, I do think it kind of fits his style. He can be quite lane dominant. I'll be interested to see what rune setup he goes for, because in some of the more difficult matchup, a lot of Gwen players had started just going Grasp and then Inspiration secondary for Biscuits and just kind of making it so you can't really poke her out. And then, it's not as powerful of a scaling rune, obviously, as Conquer or whatever, but you just kind of get to have a free pass in the laning phase, and then you still are a beast as you do hit those higher levels. So we'll have to see how he does work up on that top lane against Licorice. And also the fact that you have that melee pairing alongside Blabber is going to be really strong. Going to be interested to see if they look for a secondary melee pairing in mid lane alongside it, and if that will get targeted, or if it is just going to be, Corki going mid or something.
Well, we do have double support bans from LYON in the second half with the Alistar and the Bard both taken away. Remember that Vulcan had a very impressive Bard performance a couple of days ago. Really looking strong on that one. Alistar also another one of those champions that can play so well with his style of wanting to roam around, affect the other lanes, and just be a contributor early. Meanwhile, the Nico and the Talia banned out by C9. Corki Tristana, this is like a classic double AD comp.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting to actually be seeing that come out, especially because it is just like a blind mid pick here. We don't know for sure if it is going to be Trist or Corki. I'm going to assume it is Trist and Corki bot, because that is definitely the most common. But if they feel like for some reason they need to flex based on the matchup, they obviously could do that. Either one is totally fine mid lane. And now Saint is going to get the answer. Of course, they did throw out a couple protection bans. They have that Talia banned out. Obviously, the Yone was banned out phase 1 as well. And LYON's going to be able to grab himself a Rel. And now we're just waiting. What is Saint's answer to these 80 carries mid lane? And it is going to be a Jace. So going for a pretty aggressive answer here. Pretty heavy dive. It does feel like over on the LYON side. But of course, you could still go kind of that AP hybrid build that Kai'Sa goes for and kind of scale up into a bit of a poker later on. But honestly, I'm kind of liking C9's comp a lot more.
I mean, there's a ton of AoE combo potential on LYON. If Rel can go in, get one of those big, surprising crash-down magnet storms, you throw Skarner's Impale over the top of it, cook everybody with the Equalizer, you win the team fight right there with 3 presses of the R key on 3 separate keyboards. But over on C9's side, there's a lot of power in range with the double 80 carries. We know that Gwen is an absolute monster when it comes to side lane and scaling up. And then now that they've got the Braum, they've got some powerful disengage to deal with what LYON wants to bring to the table.
Absolutely. I mean, the Braum, but also, Corki and Tristana are pretty good at disengaging as well. Obviously, the Valkyrie helps to keep you safe, but Buster Shot as well as the Rocket Jump, also things that are going to make it a little bit more difficult there, potentially for LYON. It's going to be a lot about their engage. Can you find that explosive engage, flash Skarner ult, or, a Q flash into crash down ult from LYON, something like that to really get on the carries. If they can't do that right at the beginning of the fight, I think it's going to be so hard to actually fight through Sejuani, Braum, and Gwen with double 80 carries behind them, that just seems like a really tough task. So I think so much is relying on the initial engage here from LYON. I also think side lanes later on going to be very tough against the Gwen. Gwen scales really well as far as that is concerned, and especially because he is actually going Conqueror. It is going to be Conqueror, and it's going to be TP Exhaust as the selection here for Thanatos. He did play Flash Exhaust when they played against 100 Thieves, against Riven, who Sniper was playing Flash Ignite in that game. He did well in the laning phase, did well in the 1v1. They did lose that game, but it is definitely interesting to see.
I mean, what it tells me is he's looking at this matchup saying, no, I'm going to duel you. I have confidence in this.
Yep.
Like, Flash is not the necessity. As long as I can beat you, everything's going to be fine. And I like that confidence and that attitude, especially when you're looking at LYON specifically, because a lot of the conversations in the community about this team's games have been, Licorice has been the weak point on the team. He's the one that the fans want to see step up more and be able to compete. While on the other side, Thanatos has been like wow, this guy's the real deal for a lot of people watching LTA top lanes.
No, I mean, it's really interesting, right? And if you're thinking about, okay, the only way that I actually lose to Licorice is kind of like during this one window of power, the equalizer, right? And you have exhaust for that. You throw down the exhaust, you kind of try to neutralize a lot of that burst damage when he's overheating or whatever. Looks like C9 wants to do a late invade here with Braum. It is always incredibly strong if you can actually tag someone. You definitely have an opportunity to find something here. Will Lions get tagged? That is the question. It looks like the answer is no. They do spot him, but they're not going to get anything from it. And that graphic that just popped up, it is now 13-0. This is top 4 versus bottom 4. You can see their logos at the top of the screen, but those were the ones that we projected basically in the power rankings that we all did here in the LT North at the beginning of the season. People didn't have the exact same order, but every single person who did the power rankings here had C9, TL, 100 Thieves, and FlyQuest in the top 4.
All right, Lions
haven't lost game yet.
Going to get stunned up there as he tries to fight back. Sven and Vulcan really just wanting to make the most out of this level 1 trading back and forth with the power of that Braum that you were talking about before, and they do get a good chunk.
Yep, Braum plus Guardian, you get that proc right off the bat, so that is going to feel really nice. They also use that power to get the red. Audi is going to try to cross to the other side and steal the enemy red very likely. He is going to be spotted on this ward, so I'm going to be interested to see what Blabber's response will be. For now, he's just going to be starting up on Raptors, so he literally is going Raptors to Raptors, crossing the map there, where Blabber did go red, blue, and he's just going to likely clear up towards topside. Would be interesting to see if he eventually drops camp, though, as it could be in trouble bot.
Yeah, Lions and Henna doing a good job making use of that power spike, hitting level 2 first, getting the crash down on Vulcan right outside of the turret range for a nice punish.
Yeah, and that was just a little bit of disrespect, honestly, from the C9 bot lane, not respecting the fact that they are going to hit 2 there, that they can look for an engage and try to punish. Blabber will skip his wolves to try to get up towards that top side and defend his red very likely, but is pinging over, so they may actually look to try to re-invade instead. They have Prio in mid, so yeah, they're just going to look for a re-invade now and maybe try to challenge at the enemy blue once again.
Yeah, Audi had the confidence to go in and get the Raptor camp back that Blabber stole away, but did not want to overstay and try to retake a red. So now
Audi's going to end up, at 3 minutes.
He's going to end up getting 4 buffed. He already lost his red. He's about to lose his blue. Blabber just took it. Audi tries to get through the wall there with the Ishtal impact, but Blabber's ready to just try to walk away. Saint wants to walk over to this. Blabber still with a flash available, dodges away from that upheaval. But yeah, that's 4 buffs in the first rotation for Blabber.
Yeah, and because Audi hadn't done any of those buffs, kind of those high XP camps, even though he was on a couple camps, he just hit level 3 after 3 minutes, right? So definitely way behind on where he wants to be for the clear. Blabber goes back towards his red and is going to be able to hit that and trying to tag the Krugs over the wall as well with the W. So is just going to keep that clear going here. You can see Exhaust going to get used on the overheat, and Thanatos just trying to get a good trade. But that's why you take Phase Rush in these situations. It's Phase Rush on both Saint and Licorice to be able to disengage when you get that slowdown. Whether it's the ulti slow or exhaust slow or whatever, you proc the Phase Rush, you just try to run out of there.
I always think Phase Rush is one of the most interesting keystones that they made because it's one that can completely change the way that matchups get played, right? Obviously, every keystone can do that in some way or another because they add more damage or make you stronger. But Phase Rush really changes the way that you can engage and play the
Absolutely.
fight.
I mean, it's way more game warping. Thanatos maybe went too far here.
Thanatos, okay.
That was close.
Yeah. That was a little dicey there for a second, but he's just playing around his limits. Both top laners down to only a couple hundred HP.
Yeah, Thanatos with no flash going back in there was definitely dicey because Licorice was overheated, got a lot of damage down there. But no, I mean, I fully agree with your point. At the end of the day, yeah, there's all these different runes that are slightly different, but it's like, okay, you have Comet, you have Airy, you have PTA, they all just electrocute.
I do more
Harvest.
damage.
They all just do damage, but it's like, oh, but I do damage when I hit 3 times, or I do damage when I poke, or I do, it's all kind of the same. So I do think like Glacial Augment, Unsealed Spellbook that no one really plays, and as well as Phase Rush, those are the ones to me that are kind of the most unique and do kind of change how you play or your opponents play, which I think is fun.
Well, after Thanatos traded all the way down to the very limit of his health bar, he will now use his teleport to head to the bottom lane. You can see Licorice doing the same thing now. It's the classic 5-minute, 5.5-minute late swap, lane swap that we see these days, where the top laners will just take up that position while the bot lane duos head towards the top side. And that just tells me, Azael, everybody wants to fight for some grubs.
Yep, exactly. Everyone's going to be fighting for some grubs. I do think, especially when you're looking over at the C9 comp, that is really powerful if you do get these grubs. Tristana really good at pushing towers already. You're expecting Gwen to have prio inside lanes as the game continues, so C9 definitely will be looking to push. Audi is in the area.
Hey, Lions, good job there with the Shattering Strike into the crash down. Wants Vulcan, who throws up the shield to try to get himself away, while Saint is also being chased back in the mid lane. Flash away from Vulcan, flash away from Saint. Blabber follows up, takes him down. First blood over to Cloud9.
Yeah, both junglers make a gank happen, but it's only C9 that gets the kill at the end of the day. They are able to take down Saint. And Loki doesn't even have to actually spend the flash. It's just Blabber that spends his flash to follow in. They are going to try to go up towards these grubs. Will Loki actually look to join here? Because for now, it's kind of just Blabber scrapping alone.
Looks like Loki is on his way over, as Blabber will secure the first grub, no problem. I mean, Aliland's still hanging around, but he's just heading back into the jungle now, keep farming up his camps, doesn't want to waste more time standing around hoping and praying for a grub that he can steal away on a bit of a fluke when Cloud9 had such control over the top side.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get all 3, so they get the kill and the gank. They get all 3 of those grubs, so Cloud9 going to be really happy about that run of play. Both top laners are now level 6, so we'll see how they want to play around that.
Sven jumping forward there with the aggressive rocket jump, wanting to get that explosive charge onto Henna, maintain control over this push and this top lane. I'm really paying attention to this exhaust cooldown on Thanatos because it's almost back up and ready to cast again. He is level 6, he's got the needlework, and I'm not sure how hard he's going to want to go for this.
Yeah, so Licorice did just proc the phase rush, so there is an opportunity now, but the question is Thanatos too low to look for the all-in? So that's kind of the trade-off there. You know, as Licorice, if you're going to go in and you're going to actually proc that phase rush, you have to be getting a really good trade, because if he's high health and you lose your phase rush, that may just trigger the all-in, right? He may just throw down the exhaust, hit you with the needlework, go straight for it. So Licorice is playing a little bit more carefully until that cooldown's back up.
Lions, nice Shattering Strike again, catching Vulcan too far forward and 2 turret shots into the Braum. He's a tanky guy, but that one's still going to result in a very nice trade for the Lions duo up there in the top side as Adiland secures the Scuttle Crab around the Dragon, since both teams were mostly committed to the top side, wanting to play for the grubs, even though Lions were denied that opportunity. It means that nobody went for that early, so still a possibility to play for. As Adiland shows up bottom lane, he and Licorice may try to make the move here onto Thanatos. Ishtal Impact brings Adi forward, but now Blabber's ready to follow it up. Beautiful counterattack, and Lion are caught exactly where they don't want to be. 2 more kills over to Cloud9.
Yeah, that one hurts. They really wanted to try to slam the advantage home because Licorice was like almost a level and a half up in experience going into that dive. Of course, a ton of XP grabbed from getting the wave, as well as those 2 kills. You can see Licorice still ahead in XP after that, but they wanted to try to get that kill there. He had a 20 CS advantage, he had a big XP advantage. If they get that dive off, it would work really, really well, but you're diving a Gwen under tower who has ult, who has the exhaust, who has the shroud, and unfortunately, who had Blabber coming over very quickly. He was able to get his AoE through pretty much both of them, it felt like, on most of the spells. So you can see at this point, Licorice was about to hit A here, and Thanatos is still, you know, not even close to 7 yet, so he's cutting back, gets that 7 right there, and then as Blabber comes in, he's just able to kind of position himself to get the ulti as well as the snip zip through both of them over and over, and that one really hurts. You can see the kind of look a little bit of dismay on Adiland's faces.
It's frustrating for sure, right? But hey, credit to Blabber for having the awareness or the comms or whatever it was behind the scenes to know, hey, this is what they're going to do. Be ready. Counter punch is right there. Because I think you're right. If that does go the way that Lion wants it to go, if Licorice is in 2 levels ahead, the wave gets lost to the turret, Thanatos is down, you've got a real problem on that side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good look, but they just didn't know where Blabber was, and they couldn't actually execute on a clean dive. He was able to kite back, avoid getting stunned to the wall. I don't think that LYON was able to actually even land an ult on him, until pretty much everything was already decided. So it is definitely a risky look. And sometimes you got to take those risks, but this one did not pay off at all. And you can see Blabber as well now. Heartsteel already completed. He is very far ahead as far as the game is concerned.
Okay, now Vulcan and Sven, they're going all in for Henna, who immediately commits the flash. Does not want to give up any more of that health bar to the aggro. But topside, now Thanatos going in after Licorice, who flashes away to avoid that.
And that is going to be nice. LYON coming in, not going to quite have range here to catch Sven, who again has so much mobility on this Tristana and didn't even have to use the Buster Shot. You can see Blabber already over there with Loki working on the Dragon, and they're going to turn.
Yeah, they want to immediately use the Glacial Prison back into Audieland, but it is a very tanky jungler in the Skarner. Loki's ready to follow up with a bit more damage. Audieland about to die, but he still gets himself away for now. Blabber is burning, and Sven gets the kill on Audi. Now ready to go to Reset City as Henna tries to go in for the Killer Instinct, but the Acathian Rain does not rain hard enough. Lions with the flash over the wall to stay alive, but again, it's another scrap, another fight, another moment this game that only comes up C9.
And how frustrating is that? Look at the health bars. Everyone is so low. There's like 100, 200 health on multiple Cloud9 members, but LYON can't finish anyone off. And these plays really start to snowball. When one play goes bad, the next play you barely miss out on. If the first one had worked, you might have been strong enough to actually make the second one work, and then it's snowballing in your way. But that is the difficulty of League of Legends. C9 find the opportunity here, look to turn there onto Audi. He throws down the ult, but it is just on Blabber, and Sven and Loki are firing, and if both these AD carries are standing and firing, the fight is going to be really tough. A key Q there was nailed by Vulcan as he was stepping back onto Henna, and because they tagged that onto Henna, it allowed Sven to stay around, to get a bit more aggressive, to proc that Braum stun onto him, and to eventually be able to grab that kill. And now C9 right back up towards the top side, already onto the grubs here. Licorice has no flash, has no ult, and I think there's just no way they can contest. And so far, you can see Blabber's definitely been getting the best of this matchup. Both these guys, though, so accomplished in their own right. 8 international performances here for Audi, 7 on the other side there for Blabber. You can see so many accolades within their own regions. Obviously, Audi, one of the most accomplished LATAM players of all time. Won a bunch of times there. And Blabber as well. Still the N8 jungle GOAT in my mind. Yes, there may be some people you can argue have better current level of performance, but this guy has been so good for so long in the region that I do still think he maintains that title.
He's been a top performer for C9 for a very long time, and he's got 100% kill participation in this game now as well. 5-0 in kills for C9. Thanatos drops that exhaust on Licorice up here yet again, but once more, it's the phase rush, getting that rumble out of what could otherwise be very dangerous situation. Saints in some trouble as Sven goes in, trying to get the angle there. Has to try to rocket jump back away. The turret takes Sven and Vulcan both so incredibly low, but neither one of them is dead. Man. It's the same story time and time and time again. C9 getting away with murder, finally going to find a kill, you would have to think, as Loki falls to the Killer Instinct. It's finally a kill for LYON as Henna is on the board, but at the same time, it was traded back across on the other side of the map as Thanatos gets one on Licorice. It's a 7-1 game.
Yeah, exactly. Blabber went up there. They get a kill up in top lane, and C9 looking so dominant this super week here. Definitely on pace to finish in first place. It's going to be a really tough comeback here from LYON. It is their last chance to try to get a win against the top 4 team. Sven gets behind Saint there, flashes away from Audi, knocks him back into the team with the Buster Shot for the alley-oop. They are able to get this kill, and again, Sven and Vulcan limp out, no health to speak of, but it just doesn't matter because you can't finish off the kills. And then meanwhile, on the top side, Blabber was spotted, but it just doesn't really matter because Licorice has no flash, and over the wall comes Blabber, nails the ulti. Licorice is able to throw down the equalizer to clear out the wave, but yeah, that's tough.
Back to live. We already got problems as Licorice is the target yet again. Blabber ready to go over the wall with the Arctic Assault. Sven joins back up with Thanatos and Vulcan. And with the reset on the rocket jump, he can keep the chase going on to Lions. A 2-man shattering strike ain't going to matter because Sven just got another one. C9, 9-1 with 6 grubs. They're going to knock down the first turret as well. They'll claim the feats of warfare with a 5,000 gold lead.
Yeah, they are crushing this game. It's only 14 minutes in, and they are just putting on a clinic thick right now. Saint is going to be able to trade a tower back up on that top side, but you can see all the plate gold that Cloud9 has been able to collect. Look where it went as well. It's all in Sven and Loki's pockets. Your double AD carry getting super fed. Thanatos, we know, off of that defended dive that Blabber helped him out on, got way ahead. We'll see if they can actually chase down and get a kill here. Licorice almost has his equalizer.
Yeah, Thanatos trying to use the Hallowed Mist to get away from this, but Licorice has flash forward, ready to full commit here with this fight. But Thanatos, with a little bit of skip and slash action, getting away to the safety of Blabber. Thanatos will finally drop. If Lions didn't have the Shattering Strike right there, Thanatos actually drain tanks that out and lives, I would have to think. But Blabber is not done. Slides back over the wall, wants to keep playing inside the Lion jungle. A 1-for-1 trade for Lion is about the best they've got this whole game, but now it's not done yet. Henna tries to get away, but a nice Glacial Fissure there on Audieland stops him from going forward, looking to stop Sven. Another nice Impale, this time onto the Cloud9 AD carry, but Blabber doing a good job stepping into the turret range first. That was huge from Blabber.
No way.
Now he and Sven get away with 50 HP. As soon as he saw Audieland start moving Sven closer to the turret, Blabber just walked in, said, "No, Mr. President, this bullet's for me," and did a beautiful job protecting him.
Yeah, that is just crazy, man. I would be so tilted if I was Lion in this game. You just have to be thinking, if one of these earlier fights went our way, all of these later fights would have also gone our way, because Cloud9 keeps getting out with no health whatsoever. We saw the stats, though, between Loki and Saint. Saint had been really the more hyped prospect coming out of the LCKCL. He'd gotten the better of Loki in that league. But coming here, it has been Loki who has got the best of him, and Loki again playing really well. So we can watch this one more time. They go in on Zen. Audieland tries to pull him in, but as you call out, Blabber makes sure he's the one to walk into tower range first. So he is tanking up the tower, meaning that the tower never gets aggro onto Sven. His AD carry is protected, barely survives. Blabber doing the most in this game. He has just been everywhere.
And there's the frustration you're talking about on the coaching staff of Lion, and the exact opposite on the face of Reaper and C9, who honestly just have to feel like this one is in the bag at this point, as they'll pick up yet another neutral objective. The Rift Herald now going to go over to Blabber uncontested.
I just feel like Blabber has been 1v9 this weekend, man. He is smurfing hard.
Vulcan jumping back away to the safety of Blabber over the wall there, as Audieland did find the Ishtal impact to slam him into the wall. But it's just so hard for Lion to play the game right now, man. Even walking into their own jungle, they have to expect C9 to just be there.
I mean, they have this really good early game plan. They get the invade, you get 4 buff by Blabber. Blabber is everywhere he needs to be every single time you need him for perfect counter ganks. He's tanking the tower for his AD carry. He's countering the dive on bot lane. He's countering the chase down from Licorice again later on. He's up towards the top side, taking every single objective. Like, the guy is everywhere you could ever want him to be.
He started with 4 buffs.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's still keeping his farm really high.
It's been a Blabber diff in this game. It's 11-2 now for C9. There's some good stats from this one. 3-0-5 right now. 4,000 damage. At 14 minutes, he was up 1,300
For a second, I thought he was
gold.
flipping us off.
Oh, man, that would be diabolical. But
it's number 1.
Yeah, he's number 1. He's number 1. All right. Well,
I was like, whoa, Blabber, that is out of character.
That's a special image that you can only use when your team gets away with less than 100 HP more than 10 times in a game. All right, it's still an 11-2 game.
The thumbs up emote transforms.
Yeah, it's like how the little fist hangs above your head, and if you have enough teammates agree to use it. But we have the one thing, I guess, that if you're Lion, you could be sort of happy about is because everything else has been the focus, there's only the one dragon that's been taken so far. The first Drake didn't really even get taken barely before the plates fell, so they can't have a fast soul.
Thought you were about to hit me with a, you can be happy about the sub gap, 250 gold lead.
Yeah, well, that'll work. That'll work. No reason not to, but we got a lot of problems on the Lions side now. They're going to try to at least play around this Saint split push angle here with the Jace, trying to just knock down any bit of objective bounty money that they could possibly get their hands on. They've only got the 1 turret so far, and the gold lead keeps bleeding.
Yeah, it's always tough when your cope is, we'll get the objective bounties. It's like, well, there's a reason the objective bounties did spawn, and that is because Everyone on Cloud9 is massively ahead. 2,000 plus in mid and jungle, 1,400 in both AD and top. Everyone is so far ahead. And yeah, you can try to play through Saint. I think that maybe is their best chance. You just kind of send Audi or Lions behind Saint in the side lane. You send 2 there. You hope Cloud9 sends 1 man to respond. You get a pick, you get a tower. You start to kind of claw back the game through that sort of method. But Cloud9 does not need to play risky. They're only really going to step up with Blabber behind them, or if they see people on the map, because as long as it's a 1v1, no one's beating Thanatos right now.
Oh, yeah, no way. He's got the Riftmaker already working on the Nashor's Tooth next. You can see even in the inventory for Blabber, and Sejuani is not a champion that you expect to have this kind of a lead, but it's Heartsteel Merc Treads versus Heartsteel Merc Treads Unending Despair. It's a full extra item ahead, and Blabber is still just running the show here, can easily take down this Drake, doesn't even need help from the team, but they are going to rotate some of these AD carries over just to clean it up a little bit faster and get back to occupying the enemy jungle. You can see Vulcan inside the red side jungle of Lion, just trying to clear out as much vision as he can, plant a lot of wards there, make sure they know where these guys are.
I mean, how sad does the inventory look for Henna versus Sven, right? Like, you have full IE already completed as that second item here, plus the Yuntal Wild Arrows, and you look on the other side, it's just like some scraps working towards that Rage Blade, and Blabber is already here onto Otacon. They know they are this far ahead. They know they have the item completions. Just force any fight you can find.
Yeah.
And they are just all dodging out. You can see on this one, you stand on the inside, you dodge the swirls, you pick up the flowers, and they are just going to get even more ahead now. That is a lot of roses that they just picked up. They're already at 55 now at this point, so the XP difference is going to get that much larger.
55 to 11 on the total flowers count between the two teams. Thanatos, again, just at the point where Licorice can't really do a whole lot to him. He's got all the extra power from the flowers and just nearly kills Licorice outright.
And it's an additional over their opponents. They have basically 30 adaptive force from their flowers. Their opponents only have 9.9. So it's an additional 20, right? That's 2 longswords. That's an amp tone. Like, that is quite a lot of gold that you are actually getting in there just from the flowers.
And we're about to see those power spikes become even stronger as the Nashor's Tooth is completed for Thanatos, as we do almost have the Manamune evolved into the Muramana in mid lane for Loki as well. This is just, it's so difficult for Lion to play it from here, and I do feel for them. It's such a frustrating way to have to end the positioning phase. A nice double impale comes out from Adiland, but C9, they've just got so many more resources. Lion stuck in the middle of everybody, dead instantly on that one. But Lion, remember, this team started off so strong back at the very beginning of this positioning phase because they were playing against the other teams in that bottom half that we were talking about.
Beat them all.
And they proved themselves decidedly as the top of the bottom half.
Yep.
And so the question has been for the past couple of weeks, okay, you can beat everybody else that we grouped down there with you, but can you punch up? Can you break through the ceiling? And sadly, it looks like the answer to that, at least for now, was no.
Yep, and we have had a lot of close games, from those kind of bottom 4 teams against the top teams. We talked about it with Dignitas, we've talked about it with Shopify, and we've talked about it with Lion as well. They have been in with a chance in a number of different games, but none of them have been able to really close out the game. And when you get behind early, it just feels impossible, because to me, the biggest difference between these top 4, bottom 4 is how they play in the mid game, how they play in the late game, how they're actually using their advantages and playing through side lanes. Even when a top 4 team is behind against one of these teams, it still feels like they can come back. But if they're ahead, it feels like there's no chance for the bottom team because they just can't play the map to the same level, it feels like, as a team like Cloud9.
And I feel like that's been a story for a long time between top teams and bottom teams back in the NALCS days, in the LCS days, now in the LTA days, right? It's always been evident. And I think part of it just comes down to if you're on a bottom team, you don't have as much experience playing from a leading, winning position on stage and actually having to close the game out. Whereas teams like Cloud9, they have plenty of experience doing it as Licorice has to flash away there. The lockup from Blabber threatening to be a death sentence if Loki landed a little bit more damage. And now again, those 6 grubs just paying dividends as another tier 2 turret falls. That's 6 turrets now for C9.
Yep, they've taken every single outer tower, and meanwhile, Saint got pushed back on the bot side. You can see Thanatos pushed in that wave, and then he even takes away the Krugs. That's the other thing that gets even harder, as you know, as jungler, when your team starts losing, you start losing all your camps too.
Yeah.
And then it just feels like there's nowhere to go on the map. He is jobless right now. There's not a single camp up on his side of the map. There's nowhere safe to go, and Cloud9 has way way more vision on their side of the map than LYON does.
And getting your camp stolen away, the day that I realized why it feels so bad, because it's not just, oh, I lose the EXP and gold, it's he gets it. It's twice as bad as it feels like. Thanatos, I don't really know what the face check was on that one. That one felt like a little bit of happy gaming, but C9's going to see if they can make it a little bit happier, as now they're ready to follow up. Even if it's a 4v5, they want to go in for it. Lions jumps in the middle of everybody using the Magnet Storm, but it ain't going to matter. He's already dead, and Audi lands about to drop 2 Licorice with that Flame Spitter. It ain't going to matter. Sven just kills him. Thanatos' plan was genius after all. He baits them all in to take him down, and even though he dies for free, C9 is ready to pay the bill. Loki's in the enemy base. Saint finally goes in, finds the To the Skies to get the kill and get the shutdown, but C9 is still coming out on top with a 4-for-2 trade. They might have lost an AD carry, but they still got another one. Saint stays way too close. Blabber picks him up there with a Glacial Prison. Sven follows it up with plenty of rapid fire damage to bring him down, and now Blabber, to add insult to injury, just take the Hex Gate straight in their face.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you always draft the backup AD carry. You lose one, you got another, and Sven was just cleaning house in that fight. The only time he was really under any pressure was when Henna ults in on him, and he just buster shots him away, and then goes back to free firing on that front line. So Thanatos walks in here, wanted to see if he could actually steal the red. Everyone is in the brush. They do kill him, but that was Skarner ult, that was Equalizer, that was a lot. So Vulcan flashes forward, commits to the fight, gets a 3-man knockup, in comes Sven, and this is the moment here where you're like, all right, maybe Sven's in a little bit of trouble, but buster shots away and gets that to safety, and then just goes and attacks the weak side there from LYON, is able to get that final shot over the wall following Licorice. They chase in, and Licorice knows that it's kind of just like, it's one of those games. What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at the scoreboard. You know the state of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is... You take the kill on Thanatos, and you're like, all right, that felt pretty good. Thanatos now going to try to turn around and fight Licorice there with that exhaust. That's the power of it that I'm talking about. It's so tough to deal with. Now Adiland tried to jump in there, find a nice pull onto the AD carries. LYON has made his way onto those valuable targets, but C9 is still fighting back with Sven and Loki just kiting these guys out, fighting these guys out. It does not matter that they shut down Sven, because everybody else on C9 is locked and loaded. A double kill to Loki, a triple kill when the dust finally settles, and Thanatos is already in the LYON base. They're marching straight for it. C9's going to end the positioning phase in first place.
With
nice.
the worst don't be cocky.
Yeah, don't be cocky. If you want this, doesn't matter.
Still gonna win the split, so
GG, go ahead, cocky.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations to Cloud9, first place after the first round robin here, the best of ones. They have claimed that first seed.